So I would like to talk about summary for our last chapter, okay, which is time varied field. Then if we have other time, then we can have discussion for the other topic as well. All right. So basically, what we have been learned, okay, in this course. So first we have charge, and the charge is the source for the electric field. Okay, so we might have the charge in terms of its isolated particle charge value. The unit is a coulomb, or maybe we might have other form of charge. Okay, for example, in line charge density, surface charge density, so volume charge density, and all those kind of charge is basically is a source for the electric field. Okay, so we might induce magnetic field so by using those type of charge. And second thing, so whenever the charge is moved, okay, from one point to another, or maybe the charge is changed its value, okay, from one value to another value, okay, so in either form, so basically the current will be produced, okay, from that particular activity. And whenever we have a current here, so basically we can generate a magnetic field, okay, so because of the current is the source for the magnetic field. Okay, so if this source is a constant, okay, if this source is a constant, okay, so let's say we have a constant charge or constant current, for example. So basically, we will produce a constant field. Okay, so that means that we will have only one maintain or fixed value of field lah. Okay, so kalau electric field ni dia punya unit ni, okay, so the unit of it, if we consider a intensity, okay, so we will have volt per meter, and this particular case for magnetic field, so we have ampere per meter. Okay, so that means that, so let's say we have a constant value for current, for example, so one ampere or 2 ampere, or fixed value of the charge, so we will have a constant value for the field intensity, and as well as flux, and as well as flux density. Yeah. Okay, so however, so let's say we have varied uh, source of charge. Okay, so let's say the charge is increased in time, increased by time. Okay, so maybe by using a certain expression, or maybe we have the source of the field is varied, so by using a sine function, for example. Okay, for example, if we have IT is equal to IP sine omega t, for example. Okay, so maybe the charge as well will be, for example, rho Vt is equal to rho V naught sine omega t, for example. So in this particular case, so definitely, so we will have the field function also will be followed. Okay, so the field as well will be changed or varied to the time. Okay, so if the source is changed according to the sine function, for example, so we will have a sine function field as well. Okay. Okay, so we have been learned about Maxwell equation as well. Okay, so previously we also introduced to the Maxwell equation. Okay, so under this Maxwell equation, so we have four different type of expression. So we have del dot D is equal to rho V, and then so we have del cross with E is equal to minus dV divided by delta B divided del B divided by del T, and we have del with cross with B is equal to 0, and then we have del cross with H is equal to vector of J plus del D divided by del T. Alright, so this is all for Maxwell equation that we have been learned previously. Okay, so this kind of formula, Maxwell equation formula, we will use along we study about electromagnetics. Okay, so we have the first expression. So this one will be useful in a Gauss law. Okay, in a Gauss law equation in order to express our Gauss law. So the second is about Faraday law. Okay, so we will see in this topic. Okay, so this one is governed by this one should be so this one is Savat. So this one is will be Ampere's law. Okay. All right. So as we have been studied before, so in electromagnetic analysis, so we have two kind of analysis. Okay. So first, so we have static. If we consider electrostatic electric field, then we will have electrostatic. And if we consider a magnetic field, then we will have magnetostatic. And second is what we will learn in this topic, which is time varying field. Okay, so when we study about electrostatic, so we will have anything that change to the time will be equal to 0. So that's why we will have, especially for the second and fourth equation, so we will have governed by this static analysis. So we will have our del cross with E is equal to 0. And then we will have also del cross with vector of H is equal to vector of J. Okay. So, but under this, the first and the third equation, so we will have use the same equation. Okay, because of in this particular equation, so we didn't have any element that changed toward the time. So therefore, for the first and the third, so we will use the same expression. Okay. So, but in a time varying field, okay, so governed by this law, so we will have our del dot dt is not equal to 0. Okay, because as I mentioned just now, if the source of the field is changed to the time, okay, in whatever function, okay, for example, I give you the sample of the expression is in a sine expression, so we will have as well our field will be changed according to the sine function as well. So because of that, so we will have the expression for d divided by dt is not equal to 0. So governed by this style of technique or style of analysis, so basically we need to consider all expression, okay, to be used. Okay. So because of that, later on we will see that. So we will still use the first and the third equation, okay, as I stated in the Maxwell equation, but in under this style on this very field to govern under this field parameter. So we will use the full expression for the second and the fourth equation. So in this particular case, so we didn't separate anymore, okay, in terms of electric field component. Okay, so for example, in this case is the vector of E, and as well as uh, so we cannot separate anymore the electric and magnetic field component. Okay, for example, for the second equation is the vector of E and vector of B, and for the fourth equation, so we have vector of H and vector of D. Okay, so that means that during a time varied field, so basically the integration between electric and magnetic field will be happening. Okay, so this one is vector of H and as well as the vector of T. All right. So that one is in term of Maxwell equation. Okay. So basically in this topic, so we will more focus on the second and the fourth Maxwell equation. Okay. Whereas on the second Maxwell equation, so we have del cross with E is equal to del B, so divided by del T. And the fourth equation, then we will have del cross with H is equal to vector of J plus del vector of D divided by dt. Okay. So for the second equation, so with the some technique of derivation, so basically we will have another form of it. Okay, so we will have v is equal to minus n d phi divided by dt. Okay, on this particular expression, so is associated with Faraday law. Okay, with the Faraday law. Okay, so the V that we have here, okay, so what we call it as a EMF or electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force, electro electromagnetic force, or we call it as a VMF. Okay, and basically the VMF, so we have two kind of VMF. Okay, so first we call it as a V transformer EMF, and we have another one is V motional EMF. Okay, so the summation of between these two EMF is equal to V EMF, like what we have here. So basically, in the first type of EMF, or we call it as a transformer electromagnetic motive force. Okay, so this voltage of EMF will be produced when we have stationary what we call it, stationary loop, okay, located in time varying field. Okay, so this almost similar like what we have in a transformer. Okay, because in the transformer, okay, as you might be learned in a different subject previously, so we have a core, okay, core here. Okay, then we have primary winding over here. Is the primary winding, so this should be NP. So if we connect to the source, so this source is known as a VP, okay, primary voltage. And then on the secondary side, so we will have a secondary winding. Okay, so we have certain number of secondary winding, and then so we'll have certain voltage here. And in the end of the operation, so we will connect the secondary winding with certain value of load. Okay, so this one it should be RL. And basically, if you perform some analysis, okay, to this transformer, so in the end, so you have a expression that represent the VP, NP, NS, and VS is equal to, so VP divided by VS is equal to NP divided by NS. Okay, so how can we relate so this transformer with the concept of a stationary loop located in a time varying field? Okay, So when we have a transformer, so definitely, so we will have a primary voltage, okay, or we can say that, so we will inject the primary winding with certain value of voltage source, okay, and in order to make this transformer function, so definitely we need to inject the voltage on the primary side in terms of AC voltage. Okay, so let's say we have VP T is equal to Vm sine omega t, for example. Okay, as I mentioned just now, whenever we have the source of the field in terms of sine function, for example, so definitely, okay, so whenever we have a VP here, so we have IP here, so the current that we will flow in the primary winding, and because of we have a current here, so definitely we will induce magnetic field, okay, inside this transformer core. So let's say in this particular case, the winding that will be the flux that will be produced in this direction, for example. Okay, so because of the parameter of the IP, okay, will be same as the VP. Okay, for in effect of let's say we have VP in a sine function, so the IP also will be produced in a sine function as well. Okay, same goes to the flux. So the flux as well will be produced in a sine function as well. So because of we have a time varied field here, okay, so whenever it's come across to the secondary winding, so in this particular case, so we will have, so Vs also is in term of sine function as well. So how can we confirm the Vs will be produced in the sine function same as the flux? So basically, we need to apply what I call it as a Faraday law. So we have V is equal to minus N d flux d flux divided by dt, and because of the flux in a sine function, okay, so as shown in this figure, so we will have also the V is also in a sine function, but maybe in a cos apa nama tu dalam cos function lah, okay, because when we differentiate the sign, so we will have the cos omega t. Okay, so the cos omega t as well can be replaced in a sine. Okay, so we'll have sine omega t plus 90 degree. Okay, so because of this fact, whenever we have the flux, the source or the field in the sine function, definitely we will have the voltage here. Okay, as what we call it as a transformer electromotive force. Okay, also in a sine function as well. Okay, so what will happen if we have the VP is in term of DC? Okay, so let's look. So let's say the VP is exists in a DC. Okay? VP is equal to DC. So because of we have VP in a DC, so I also in a DC form. So because of I in DC form, so the flux that induced inside this core as well in a DC form. So whenever the flux is come across to this winding, okay, so based on the Faraday law, so the relationship between the voltage and the flux is equal to V is equal to minus N d flux divided by dt, and because of the flux is not changed, the d phi over dt will be equal to 0. In that particular case, so we will have the secondary voltage inside this transformer is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the proof that the proof that we need to use AC voltage, okay, inside this transformer in order to make this function as a transformer lah. Okay, so definitely to produce our transformer electromagnetic force, electromagnetic motive force. Okay, so this is how can we represent a stationary loop located in a time varying field. Okay, so the loop is not moved, the loop is maintained in a one position, but what we'll have is what we change in terms of time is only the flux. Okay, so this is the first type of electromagnetic motive force, okay, which is a transformer EMF. So we have a second type of the EMF, okay, VEMF. So we call it as a V motional electric magnetic motive force. Okay, so in this particular case, uh, we will have a moving loop. So located at located at stationary stationary magnetic field. Okay, so under this case, so let's say we have uh, how to draw it. Okay, so let's say we have this style of setup. So we have this is X, Y, and the Z axis. Okay, and then we put one winding over here. Okay, so the center of the winding will be reside on the Z axis. Okay, and the other part of the winding will be reside as this one, and we rotate this winding. If we look from the top view, so we will have this setup. Okay, so we have this is our Z axis here. Okay, and we will have our coil or winding. Okay, so this is dot, so this one is cross, and basically the center point for this winding is located on the Z cap. Okay, so when we move this winding, instead of the winding is moved in a linear motion, so it will start rotating. Okay, so like this. So this one will be the speed of the winding. So this one, the Z axis in this case uh, can be named as a pivot point, okay, or the pivot axis. Okay, so this is what we have been the term of it has been introduced when we studied about um, magnetostatic. Okay, so let's say at the same time when we try to rotate this loop, so we try to inject a static magnetic field in y direction, for example. Okay, so this is our B, and the vector of B, let's say, is equal to y cap multiplied by, okay, so we have a movable or moving loop, okay, so rotating along the z-axis, but the direction of the magnetic field is constant, okay, at the y cap direction. Okay, so in this particular case, so okay, if we measure the potential across our loop here, okay, so definitely in the loop, so we will have to create our loop like this. Okay, so we have this is starting point, our starting point. Okay, so we continue to looping this winding. Until then, we will have another terminal, so we call it as ending terminal here. So when we measure this terminal, okay, or we put this terminal with some voltmeter, for example, so we will have a certain potential difference exists. Okay, and this potential difference exists is due to when we have a moving loop located inside this stationary field. Okay, and the voltage that we have here is we call it as a motion electromagnetic motive force. Okay, so this condition is more uh, similar like what we have in a generator, for example. Okay, so we can have a DC or AC generator. So depending on the how we connect this terminal. Okay, and the third type of electromagnetic motive force is we have VEMF. And this VEMF is equal to summation ataupun hasil tambah antara transformer EMF plus VM EMF. So in this case, so because we have two type of EMF induced at the same time, so and this case, so we will have a motion or moving loop locate on a time varying field. Okay. So we will have our setup, okay, as we have been looked just now. So we have z-axis here, and then we have a winding here, or we have a loop. So this one is dot, this one is cross, and instead of move this coil, okay, so we are rotating this. So the axis here will be our pivot axis or our pivot point. Okay, so in order to make this loop rotating, okay, and so we still have our magnetic field. In this case, is still in y cap direction. Okay, but in this case, the expression for the field is changed from B naught to B naught sine omega t, unit of Tesla. If we have this kind of situation, then definitely, so we will have two type of EMF, okay, developed inside this coil, okay, or inside this loop. And the EMF is known as a TR EMF, so transformer EMF, and as well as MEMF, which is a motion EMF. Okay, so this is so what I've been explained just now is the concept that time varied field, if we consider the first or the second expression for the Maxwell equation. Yes, del B divided by del T. Okay, and that particular equation basically associate with Faraday law. Okay, so let's look on the fourth equation for the Maxwell equation. The fourth equation, so we have del cross this H is equal to a vector of J plus del D divided by del T. So this one is a vector. Okay, so this expression is explained about, so what we call it as a displacement current. Or we represent it by using ID. Okay, so before we go to what is the displacement current, so let's look on how this equation explain about existence of the displacement current. Okay, so we have del cross with H is equal to J plus del D divided by del T. Okay, so this is the expression that represent our fourth Maxwell equation. So from this expression, so let's say we integrate this J with a certain surface. Okay, So the solution for this expression, so basically we will have what we call it as a conduction current. So this concept that we have been see this concept in electrostatic topics. Okay, so if we solve this part of equation, so by using surface integration of ds, so this as well we need to, in order to maintain the mathematical principle, so we need to solve this part as well of equation as well, so by using the surface integration of this s. So same goes to this one. Okay, dot ds. Okay, because of this part of equation, the solution of it is give us the value of a current. So this part as well will be given us in terms of the value of the current, and the unit is ampere. And this well as well, this part as well will be give us the current value. Okay, so in order to maintain the mathematical rule, okay, ataupun untuk kita macam mana cakap sebab in the physics, so we have one value of the current, okay, so plus another value, so this value also should be have the same characteristic as the first one. Okay, so if the first part of the equation give the value of the current, okay, so in order to make it apa nama correct in terms of mathematical rule, so this part as well will be give us in terms of current. So otherwise we cannot add simply or add this value lah, okay, because this is not the typical mathematics, but when we deal with the physics, so we need to as well to consider the unit of it. Okay, so the unit kena sama lah. So this one is ampere. So this part also should be ampere. And the summation of it, okay, ataupun hasil tambah antara ini, we will have another ampere value as well. So this one should be the current as well. So because of that, okay, in this part of equation, so we call it as displacement current. Current. So this part of equation, then we will have this is a total current. So from this, basically, okay, so from this, basically, we can fulfill another concept of the current that involve current. So what we call it as a KCL, KCL, okay, Kirchhoff law current. So what is the example for the displacement current? Okay. Okay, example for displacement current. Okay, so let's consider if we have a capacitor. Katalah kita ada satu capacitor. Okay, and this capacitor or two plate of electric conductor is separated so in thickness of D, and then between this plate we put some dielectric lah. Okay, so the top plate is connected to the to the positive terminal of voltage source, and the bottom plate will be connected to the other terminal for the voltage source, for example. Okay, so let's say in this case, so we are using sinusoidal voltage, so we have Vt sine omega t, for example. Okay, so inside this conductor, okay, because of this is a closed complete circuit of electrical circuit, so we'll have, so this one will be Ip sine omega t as well. Okay, so whenever we put one voltage source, okay, connected to a capacitor, so we have some current will be flowing inside this conductor. Okay, but as we have been learned before, in the center or in the between of this plate, so we will fill this area with some dielectric. And we know that inside this dielectric, so we will have the current that flowing inside it is equal to 0 ampere. But because of we connected this plate with some value of the voltage here, so we will have, or we can measure some value of the current, okay, flowing inside this conductor. Then how can we make this this condition is make sense? Okay, so that's why later on, if we look into this chapter, okay, on a conductor, in the conductor, okay, so in this section, so we will have the I is equal to IC plus ID. Okay, so IC is the conduction current, so ID is displacement current. So because of in this particular case, so we will have some value of conductivity, okay, and with some value of maybe the value of conductivity is high. So we will have in this case, so we have ID is equal to 0 ampere. Okay, so because of that, on the inside the conductor, so we will have I is equal to IC. Okay, but in inside the dielectric, dielectric here, okay, in the between of the plate, so we will also the same I. So I is equal to IC plus ID. Okay, and because of in the dielectric, so we have IC is equal to 0. So in this particular case, the value of I, okay, flowing inside this capacitor is known as a displacement current. Okay, and then if you look into this particular chapter, then you know how to derive the expression for the displacement. So basically, we just use the value of ID. Okay, so we can derive so by using surface integration of del D, so divided by dt multiplied by ds. Okay, so ds is the surface of the equivalent to the surface of the plate lah. Okay, if we consider the plate in term of square, apa nama, bentuk dia segi empat lah. Okay, so under this chapter as well, so we will come across to the boundary condition. Boundary condition of time varying field. Okay. So similar like what we have in electrostatic and magnetostatic. Okay, so either in electrostatic or magnetostatic. So basically, we will use the same concept too. Okay, so inside this boundary condition topic, so we will have no new theory or new concept. So we will have same concept. Whereas if we have any two medium, so let's say we have dielectric and dielectric. Okay, so we will have E1T is equal to E2T, and we have D1N minus D2N is equal to rho S. So this one is for the electric field. And for the magnetic field, so we have H1T is equal to H2T. Okay, and we have D1N is equal to D. So this one is for the magnetic field. Okay, if we have other type of material dielectric to the conductor, for example, then we will have another set of expression lah. So on that particular matter, you might refer our textbooks. Okay, inside table 6.2, page 322. Okay. Okay, so the next topic is about uh, charge current, charge current continuity relationship. Relation. Okay, so in a in a in a as in a static field, so if we have a static field, so the charge and current are independent. Independent. Okay, so if we look into the equation for the Maxwell equation, so we can differentiate or we can separate the charge and the current as we have anything that change with the time is equal to zero. Okay, so but in a in a time very in a time very varying time varying field, okay, so both charge and current will be integrate, okay, to one to another. Okay, so we have, let's say, I, okay, originally is equal to minus dq divided by dt. So this one is I think you have been learned during a physics course. Okay, so if we have, okay, so let's say, so we have charge in term of rho v. Okay, so the charge is represent in a volume density. So in order to find q, if we given by the value of charge in term of rho v, so we will have q is equal to volume integration of volume rho v dot dv. So if we replace this expression inside this expression, then we will have I is equal to minus d divided by dt, okay, integration of volume integration will be dot dv. Okay, at the same time, so we will have as well as I is given by integration, close integration of surface j dot ds. So this one is not close integration, so surface integration j dot ds. Okay, so if we put, if we ataupun kita samakan, if we compare to both expression, then we will have surface integration of j dot ds is equal to minus d divided by dt, volume integration will be dot dv. Okay, with the some mathematical derivation. So in the end, so we will have this expression can be written as del dot j is equal to minus del rho v, so divided by del t. Okay, so this is the expression that represent continuity of charge and current, okay, ataupun charge current continuity relationship. Okay, and the next topic, so we will learn about the free charge dissipation in a conductor. Free charge dissipation in a conductor. So under this topic, so what we'll have, okay, so let's say we have one conductor. Okay, so we have one conductor here. And basically, in order to make the current flowing inside this conductor, so we need to move an electron, so from one point to another. Okay, so let's say we have this one. So whenever we have the charge or the electron is moved from one point to another, so we generate some value of the current in a direction of reverse direction, okay, compared to the motion for the electron. Okay, so even though we have the electron is moved from one point to another, Okay, but basically what we'll have here, okay, so we still have the number of electron is the same as the number of proton, okay, that exists inside the nucleus. Okay, so in this case, so we call it that our conductor here is electrically neutral. Electrically neutral. So that means that even though the charge is moved from one point to another, but the number of the electron and number of proton is still the same. And we didn't have any negative charge of the conductor or positive charge of the conductor because of that particular concept. Okay, so what will happen if we take electron outside from this conductor? Okay, so we take one electron, okay, outside from this conductor and inject it inside this conductor. Right, so what will be happen? So whenever that this material, okay, see that they have excessive value for the electron, okay, compared to the value to the number of the proton, so the electron will be start repositioning. Okay, so they start with the closest electron, okay, to the place or location that electron being at. So dia punya electron tu akan ubah position masing-masing. Okay, and that particular occurrence will be continue to be happen until the excessive charge will be apa nama akan ditolak, okay, ataupun being moved to the surface of the conductor. Okay, if we put two charge, then we will have two excessive charge located at the surface of the conductor lah. So we have three, then we will have three electron. Okay, and the number of the electron that being moved to the surface of this conductor will be the same as how many charge being uh, apa nama being inject inside this conductor. Okay, so initially what will happen, so whenever we put electron inside this conductor, okay, initially the value of magnetic field inside this conductor is equal to 0 volt per meter. So by considering that our conductor is a perfect conductor, okay, and because of we have increment in terms of the number of electron here, so basically, so the value of E will be start increase a bit. Okay, so maybe dia naik 1 ataupun 2 volt per meter. So depending on the how much electron being injected lah. Okay, and then after that, so this process will be happen. Okay, so the electron will be start positioning, okay, from one point to another. Okay, until the electron being stable in the end of the process. So basically, during that time, so the value of E will be reduced to zero back, okay, again, as what we have previously. Okay, so this process is, we call it as what we call it as a decay process. A process when the value for the field is reduced back to the zero. Okay, so that the conductor is reached its electrically neutral condition as what we have before. Okay, so how much time needs of one electron to reach electrical neutral, okay, inside this decay process? Okay, so this one will be start, or we will begin with the expression that we have been see just now. So del cross with J is equal to minus del rho V divided by del T. Okay, and by using several mathematical techniques, so we can solve this expression. Then we will have rho Vt is equal to rho V naught exponential minus T divided by tau T. So whereas this tau T is known as relaxation relaxation time constant. And this tau t is equal to epsilon divided by sigma. Okay, so epsilon is electric permittivity and sigma is electric conductivity. Okay, and the last topic for this chapter is electromagnetic potential. Okay, electromagnetic potential. Okay, in a static field, so we have V R is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. Okay, so volume integration of rho V R I. So this one is the vector that represent direction and distance between our charge and our test point. So divided by R prime dV. Okay, if the charge is changed, okay, if rho V is changed in time, okay, so instead of we have rho V, so we have rho V T. Okay, so this expression will be changed to V R T is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon integration of volume, so rho V R I T, so divided by R prime dV prime. Okay, so dV prime. If we consider, so the rho V is exists in term of a time function, so that means that we will have our rho V will be changed from one value. So let's say rho V1 to rho V2. And because of this fact, okay, so our potential difference as well, so V as well will be changed, okay, from V1 until V2. And most of the time, so the change from V1 until V2, we will it's not instantaneous, okay, compared to the changes of this one. So we will have some what we call it as a delay time. And this delay time, we express it as T prime is equal to R prime, so divided by UP. So R prime is the value for the is similar like what we have here. Okay, so actually is a distance of 2 points. Okay, 2 point of potential difference. Okay, and the UP here is what we call it as a propagation speed. So UP is we call it as a propagation speed. Propagation speed. Okay, so this is propagation speed is represent the speed that need one charge to move one point to another lah. Okay, in function of this R prime. So if we consider that, then we will have the expression for the potential difference is equal to V R T is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. So volume integration, so rho V. So this one is rho V will be in term of R vector Ri. So this one is vector that represent direction and distance. Okay, between our 2 point of potential difference. So T minus R prime divided by UP. So this one is a delay time, our delay time. So divided by R prime D prime. Okay. So if we have, so this one is a potential difference in a electric field. Okay. So in a magnetic field, so we will have the potential difference is expressed by the vector of A R prime T is equal to mu, so divided by 4 pi volume integration J R I prime D minus our delay time here. So R prime divided by UP. So divided by R prime dV prime. Okay. So that's all for the time varied field chapter. Okay. I'd like to share about your final exam lah. So but basically the detail of the announcement, so how to joining the apa nama the portal, so how to submit, how to answer the question will be, I think will be announced to you during the apa nama the study week lah. Okay. Maybe during the study week, so student will be have opportunity to test the portal lah. So maybe the UTM will be make some mock final, for example. My suggestion is to be alert to whatever announcement that made by UTM, so that you not miss anything. Okay, especially in terms of how to test the exam portal. So basically, the style of the portal maybe has been apa nama fixed. So, maknanya this UTM dah decide what kind of implementation that they will be imposed. Okay. So I think maybe later on you need to do some practice lah in order to biasakan diri lah gunakan portal tu. So otherwise maybe you might have some trouble lah. Especially I think the trouble will be more on capturing or snapping and convert to the PDF. Okay. The thing is you need to really careful in terms of the quality of the picture that you take. Okay, the PDF that you produce. So please make sure that the answer script that you upload is can be read, okay, readable. So kalau boleh janganlah teruk sangat kualiti tu, otherwise susah juga saya nak tanda, kan? So maybe you might miss some marks, okay? So because of the low quality of the image that you upload. UTM decided if the student cannot upload the answer script, okay, to the portal, so you might send your answer script through UTM student official email, okay, to the dedicated lecture. Okay, so katalah awak try upload dah lama dia still loading dan sebagainya, so awak kena hantar email kepada saya lah using your student email. Okay, it's not your personal email, because that particular record will be take by the UTM. Okay, so kalau awak hantar gunakan personal email, so maybe your attendance for the final will not be captured lah, so will be considered as absent, okay, during the final exam. So that one, so you need to put extra careful on that particular matter lah. And then my suggestion is to try to free up some of your phone memory. Okay, so buanglah dulu kan apa yang tak berkenaan, your game, so please uninstall first for these 2 weeks only. We're not being responsible any lag on your phone, any lag on your laptop. Okay, so for these 2 weeks, so just remove unnecessary apps, unnecessary games, unnecessary software, so in order to make some space in your memory lah. Nama is beyond our control lah. If that happen to you, your phone lag, your laptop lag, please take necessary action, especially for yourself lah kan, bukan untuk orang lain kan. Okay, so pada saya tak ada rugi lah kalau you all nak uninstall untuk masa yang sekejap. Okay, for this course, because of we are considering online open book final exam. Okay, so basically we will have 4 questions. So we have 4 questions. and you need to answer all lah. Okay, for the question 1, okay, so question 1, it will be cover topic of vector analysis and its application lah. So under this question, so what we will ask, so first is how to transfer ataupun coordinate transformation. Coordinate system to transformation. Then, so how to convert, for example, Cartesian to cylindrical ke kan? Cylindrical to spherical and Cartesian to spherical. So this one is vice versa lah. So this one will be vice versa. Okay, so maknanya from Cartesian to cylindrical and as well as from cylindrical to Cartesian. So this one you need to refer to the table lah kan. So how to use it. The most important thing is you know to how to use that table lah. So the table will be given to you during the examination. So I think that maybe during the study week, so I will send to you the appendix, okay, that will be used in this final exam. And then later on, you can either to print it or just refer to your phone. Okay, it's up to you lah. Okay, in that particular portal, so I plan to upload only question only. And then the additional material will be provided to you previously lah. Okay, so then you can make some preparation on that particular exam. So, but I think it's not only me. Okay, maybe the other lecturer as well will be provided some handout. Okay, so you need to really manage your file lah. So that one is the first thing. Okay, the second thing that will be test in the question is to implement the vector analysis method in the Gauss law. Okay, so in this Gauss law, so you have apa nama yang panjang-panjang tu kan, surface integration, close surface integration d dot ds is equal to q and is equal to volume integration del dot d dot dv and is equal to volume integration rho v dot dv and is equal to rho l dot dl apa lagi ni, and is equal to surface integration rho s dot ds. Okay, so yang ini Gauss law lah. So and then how can the knowledge that you earn ataupun yang you get from this vector analysis topic being implemented in the Gauss law? Alright, so for the second question, okay, for the question number 2, so first you will be test on your understanding towards boundary condition. Okay, so inside this boundary condition, so let's say so we have two medium, okay, and then there is one electric field. So this one, let's say this one is a medium 2. with some value of permittivity 2, and this is medium 1, and with some epsilon 1, 2 and epsilon 1, so this one is should be epsilon E2 for example, and then inside this first medium, so will we produce another vector that represent electric field intensity. Okay, so if you given expression that represent this E, okay, E1 is equal to what, for example, so you need to find the expression for the E2. The second thing that will be test is in terms of potential difference. Okay, so let's say you will be given one charge, so let's say negative charge here, so minus Q, okay, at a certain position X, Y, and Z, and you need to find the potential difference at certain point. So let's say this is VP. So the VP is given by or represent or locate at a certain another position lah. So then you need to find what is the potential difference at this particular point. Okay, and let's say the charge is, let's say we add another charge. So let's say in this position, for example. So this time is a positive charge. So what will happen here? Okay, in terms of the value of potential difference. So what will happen if we put another charge with a negative with the same sign as previous charge. Okay, so please find you are request to find what is the the new value for the potential difference. And the third thing that will be asked inside this question 2 is in terms of image method. Okay, how to use, why to use, and your justification lah. Justification, or maybe what is the consideration that we need to take, okay, in the image method. Okay, so that one is the question number 2. For the question number 3, okay, so first you will be asked about force on current carrying cable. Current carrying conductor. Okay, so you will given a certain conductor. The conductor carry some value of the current, okay, and then we expose the conductor with some value of magnetic field, okay, and then you need to calculate how many force that develop, and then what is the what happened, okay, if that particular conductor is exposed to the value of magnetic field. And then second one is in terms of force on current carrying loop. Okay, current carrying loop. Okay, so that this one in the end, how the force exists ataupun the force produced in that particular loop and how the torque is produced. Okay, on that particular loop. And for the last one, question 4, topic, our last topic, which is time varying field. So under this topic, so you need to know the concept of stationary loop, locate inside time varying field. Okay, so what will happen if we have one loop and then we put the loop inside the time varying field? Okay, so what will happen to the loop? So what is the concept actually that happening? So maybe in this particular case, so you need to have some understanding about Biosavat. Okay, Biosavat law. So this one is from um, magnetostatic field analysis. Basically, we will apply the same technique, the same concept, unless in this particular case, the field is not constant anymore. So have some variation in terms of the time. And the second thing that will be asked in this question is about concept of moving loop located inside stationary field. Okay, so you will given on a certain loop. Okay, the loop will be have their own pivot axis or pivot point. So and then we are rotating that particular loop. We expose the loop with some constant of field, and then try to investigate what will be happen lah. Okay, so basically the final exam will be a bit it's not too hard lah. It's a doable, but it's macam sikit mencabar lah kot kan. So please not apa, saya harap awak tak expect soalan yang straightforward lah kan. So apa itu biosavat? So basically you will not find lah that particular question in this final. And the last one inside this question we will ask about displacement current lah. Displacement current. So yang topik yang lain tu maybe you can, pertama kalau nak study pun just for your knowledge lah. So in this displacement current, so how to calculate the displacement current? Okay. So if we are targeting we try to get displacement current equal to certain value, for example, to limit that displacement current. So what is the capacitor configuration that we need to apply? So those things lah. The concept of Gauss law like this. Okay. So let's say we have one charge. So let's consider the simplest one is particle charge, Q. So whenever we have charge, okay, so we will have field use lah. Okay. So whenever we have one particle charge, So we will have in the charge will be induced some magnetic field, and basically the magnetic field will be produced in shape of spherical. Okay, so why the shape of E in a spherical? Because of the shape of the charge is, if we consider a single particle charge, is in spherical shape. Because of that, so we will have a spherical shape of electric field. Okay, so governed by this Gauss law. So Gauss law said, so Q is equal to closed integration of surface d dot ds. Okay, and then we know that the relationship between d and e. So we have d is equal to epsilon e. So maknanya kita boleh rewrite ni is equal to s epsilon e dot ds. Okay, tapi kadang-kadang kita tak convert kepada yang ni lah. So kita just pakai persamaan yang inilah dalam kebanyakan case. Okay, so basically how to solve this equation? So first we know that the Q can be exist in several form. Okay, dia boleh wujud dalam isolated particle charge. Okay, macam mana yang saya bagi contoh. So can be exist in rho L, can be exist in rho S, can be exist as well in rho V. Okay, so rule of thumb here, if the charge is exists in an isolated charge, so we know that, so we need to use spherical coordinate system. Okay, because of the shape of the charge itself. Okay, if the charge is exists in a line density, so basically if we have a line charge density macam ni, so definitely that we need to use a cylindrical. Okay, sebabkan bentuk line tu sendiri. So kalau kita kembangkan, kita akan dapat spherical lah. Okay, if the charge is exists in rho S. Okay, so this one you need to find. Okay, you need to find. So let's say dalam kita punya midterm, so dia bagi kita punya shape of cable is macam ni kan. So, kalau cable definitely biasanya dalam bentuk cylindrical. So dia beri pula dalam soalan tu, kabel kita adalah coaxial cable. So, maknanya dia ada dua konduktor lah. So kita ada inner conductor dengan outer conductor. So in this particular case, so definitely that we will know the coordinate system that we need to use is a cylindrical. Okay, cylindrical. So dalam rho V pun sama. So we need to see lah. So kalau yang sebelum ni dalam midterm, the rho V is exist inside this cable kan. So the cable definitely in a cylindrical coordinate system lah, ataupun cylindrical shape. So that's why you need to use cylindrical coordinate system in order to solve it. Okay, to find any value of the flux lah. Okay, so once you decide this one, okay, then we go back to our Gauss law expression, which is this one. Okay, so kalau Q ni wujud dalam isolated particle charge dalam bentuk absolute value, then kita boleh guna directly lah. So kalau diwujud dalam bentuk density, so we need to use lah. So let's say the Q is exist in a line density, then we have Q is equal to line integration rho L dot dl. Okay, ataupun dalam surface integration rho S dot ds. So kalau volume, so volume integration rho V dot dv. So what is the expression for dl, ds and dv is depending on this coordinate system that we choose lah. Okay, so depending on the characteristic for the charge itself. Okay, kemudian tu, so we have, so Q is equal to rho closed integration surface d dot ds. Okay, then we need to express our d in term of general expression. Okay, so kita kena create general expression ini. Okay, so how can we derive this one? So we have D is equal to, so our unit vector here, so multiply by D, and the symbol subscript here will be follow the unit vector. Okay, so let's say lah, katalah kita gunakan spherical ataupun kita gunakan charge ni dalam wujud dalam bentuk absolute value. So we will have, okay, so kalau refer balik yang slide yang sebelum ni lah So kalau Q, then definitely then we will have the D is equal to R cap DR. Okay, sebab dia punya shape of field adalah dalam bentuk spherical shape. Okay, so kalau kita punya Q is in term of rho L, so rho L biasanya dia punya coordinate system dia adalah cylindrical, then we will have D is equal to R cap DR. Okay, if we have Q is in term of rho S, so this one you need to really careful lah. So tengok dia punya shape of charge tu dibagi dalam bentuk apa. So let's say if we refer to the our midterm test, so because of the shape of the sheet adalah dalam bentuk cylindrical, then we will have D is equal to R dr. Okay, and last one, if we consider our Q is exists in a volume, so this one also will be refer to the question lah. So kalau dalam midterm, so we'll have E is equal to R cap dr. Okay, so once awak dah apa nama dah boleh tentukan all those parameter, then we can solve lah. So Q is equal to closed surface integration D dot ds. Okay, yang menjadi masalah utamanya adalah untuk tentukan coordinate system. Coordinate system apa nak pakai, itu pertama lah. And the second one is equation. Okay, because of in this Gauss law, so we have a lot of equation. So we have kalau saya tulis secara panjang, so we have Q is equal to closed integration surface D dot ds. So this one is the kita panggil general expression for the Gauss law lah. Okay, but basically the Gauss law is derived from our first Maxwell equation. Okay, whereas from the first Maxwell equation, so we have del dot D is equal to rho V. Kan, last kali kita buat volume integration del dot D dot dV is equal to rho V volume integration rho V dot dV. So this one, if we look into the general expression, so this part of equation we will have sama dengan Q, total Q kan, dapat balik yang ni. So if we consider the full set of Gauss equation, then we will have Q is equal to closed integration of surface D dot ds is equal to line integration rho L dot dl is equal to surface integration rho S dot ds is equal to volume integration rho V dot dV is equal to as well yang ini volume integration del dot D dot dV. So equation yang mana satu nak pakai is depend on the what is the information that given to you lah inside that particular question. Okay, so kalau dalam our midterm test, basically you just use pertama sekali yang ni lah, definitely lah you need to use. And the second one, for the inner conductor, dia punya charge dia wujud dalam yang ni kan, so rho V dot dV. And then we go further, katalah kita consider region luar daripada kabel tu, then we will have surface integration rho S dot ds. Okay, assignment 2. Okay. Assignment 2 ni is about to to explain to you lah, so how the concept of EMT being used. Okay, So let's say lah kita gunakan, katalah kita gunakan transformer lah. Okay. Apa yang pilih tajuk transformer tu di advantage lah kot kan. Okay. In transformer, so let's say we have 1, 4. Okay, let's say we have a transformer. So generally transformer we will have 2 winding. So this one is a primary winding, and this is our secondary winding lah. Okay, so normally for the primary winding, we will connect this winding to a certain voltage lah, AC voltage. Okay, for the secondary winding, we will connect this winding to a certain load. So this one should be RL, for example. Okay, so first we need to explain about the working principle. Sama sekali working principle. So inside this working principle, so for example, in this transformer point of view, so how voltage, because in the transformer, so we are concerned on how to apa kita kata, how to change, how to vary the voltage, okay, at the secondary side. Okay, kalau kita bagi pada primary side ni, so we inject some value of voltage. So how can we change that this particular voltage level to another level? Okay, so by using transformer. Okay, so how can we generate the voltage on the secondary side? So that's why in this case, how voltage on secondary side will be generate. Okay, in other words, okay, it can be generalized as how can we get the output. Okay, contohnya kalau ada tajuk yang pasal generator misal kata kan, so in generator, so how can we get the voltage on the terminal, for example kan. So, kalau single turn winding DC motor, so we need to get the the rotation. So how can we get that particular rotation? Okay, kalau earth fault indicator, so how can we detect fault? Okay, so current transformer samalah. So current transformer, so how can we differentiate ataupun how can we make some variation in term of current level? Okay. Okay, so basically you can go to the any resource internet on how what is the main consideration when we have this kind of system lah kan. So macam mana operation dia? Kalau macam kata metal detector, so basically we want to detect any metal that exists inside dalam tanah dan sebagainya lah. Induction cooker itu how to cook kan. So in order to cook, then we need to produce some heat. So how can heat generate? So by using induction cooker concept. Okay, so sama yang lain lah, toroidal inductor, because we want to make some inductor. So some of the question is discussed in the book, then you can directly take the information on the book lah. Okay, so first is the working principle, but the important thing is how can the system work lah. So how can we get the output? Okay, bergantung kepada sistem-sistem yang tertentu. Okay, the second thing is what is the, kalau tengok dalam soalan tu, so EMT concept. So EMT concept and equation. Okay, so dalam EMT concept equation ni, so kalau dalam kes ni, so apa konsep yang pakai? Apa konsep yang kita gunakan? So pertama sekali, the first definitely the Biot-Savart law lah. because in this case, so first we need to induce magnetic field. Okay, so first definitely we need to use, or we need to induce magnetic field inside this transformer. And so magnetic field may be induced in this way. Let's say the direction in this direction. Okay. So in order to prove the existence of this flux, so we need to use Biot-Savart law. Okay. So what is the equation that govern under Biot-Savart law kan? So we have H is equal to 1 divided by apa-apa kan. So ini later on you check on your notes lah. Okay. So first Biot-Savart law, because from this voltage, so the voltage will be produce a current because of this is a closed circuit, and the current will be induced magnetic field. So this one is the first step, and the second step is by using Faraday law. Okay, so because in this Faraday law, so because of we have a flux here, so the flux will be cuts this winding, and because of that, so we'll have some value of potential appear here. So how can we get here? It's by using Faraday law. So whereas in this Faraday law, so we will have V is equal to minus N d flux divided by dt. The flux divided by dt. Okay. So the flux can be expressed so by using this formula. Okay. So daripada here ni from H, so you can find the B, and from B you can find the flux. Okay. So the expression for flux here will be put inside this expression. Then we can derive some value of potential difference here. So that one is the second part. The last part is so the last part is a sample of soft calculation. Okay, so let's say we are referring to the transformer just now. So just bagilah. So katalah we have so NT sama dengan berapa, so NS sama dengan berapa, so VS sama dengan berapa. You just create by your own lah. Sama dengan berapa. So and then after that you apply lah. So let's say first you need to apply Biot-Savart law kan. H is equal to I divided by 4 mu apa kan. Okay, and then after that, so bila once we get the B, then we can calculate the B. Once we get the vector H, then we can calculate the vector of B. So B is equal to mu A. So mu ni just letaklah apa nilai. So maybe mu is equal to mu R mu naught. So mu R is 1000 for example. So, kali lah mu naught for pi times 10 power of minus 7. Okay, and then from this, so we can calculate phi. So phi is equal to B divided the, so B multiplied by A. Ya ke? Kan, balik. Okay, betul. Okay, so B, A. So once you get the expression for B, so you can calculate the expression for the phi, and then you can calculate the B untuk pada secondary. So minus N d flux divided by dt. Then we get the voltage lah. So same goes for the other topic as well lah. So kalau dalam DC motor tu, you just take, you can take the question inside the books pun ada juga. Saya rasa dia punya ni. Okay, so some of the information you can get directly from the book lah, but some the other, especially for the apa nama tu, detail explanation in term of operation, then the one you need to find over the internet lah, to find the apa nama the concept of it. Okay, especially for the current transformer, ingat dalam buku ada fault indicator ni basically is form of current transformer. Okay, so cuma ni function dia berbeza lah. Current transformer, you need to detect the value of the current. Okay, a fault indicator ni basically konsep yang sama lah, lebih kurang isi supply. Linear variable differential transformer, I think dalam buku ada. Okay, assessing EMF voltage in power transmission line. So this one basically is the same as the concept of EMF. Okay, so how can one loop generate some voltage by if that particular loop is exposed in a time varied field, for example. Okay, so electric generator ada, so wireless power transfer ni maybe you need to find a bit lah. Okay, so but basically the concept of it is about the same lah. Cuma wireless power transfer ni the concept is similar like transformer, but we didn't have any core. And metal detector pun is a concept of transformer as well. Magnetic door lock. So this one is magnetic induction. It's similar like in an induction cooker. Okay, so adalah certain topik yang basically lebih kurang sama konsep dia. Then you can discuss among your group lah. Maximum tu saya ingat dalam 5 page pun dah banyak dah. I didn't set any minimum lah. I think maximum 5 page lah. I suggest you to apa nama tu? Type sikit lah kot. Senang sikit. Kalau nak tulis 5 page kan penat pula tangan kan. So better you use the word lah. Microsoft Word to prepare the assignment.